Well, in a press conference today in Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti declared a local state of emergency. The press release notes to protect the lands and communities near the Los Angeles Aqueduct from flooding as this year's historic Eastern Sierra snowpack begins to melt into the Owens Valley. Now, that press release notes that the year's snowpack in the Eastern Sierra 241% above normal, and once spring sets in, well, beginning of spring right now, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power expects the snow melt to send up to 1 million acre-feet of runoff into the Owens Valley. Now, this runoff, nearly twice the amount of water Angelenos use in a year, will likely threaten local communities, hydroelectric power plants, and dust mitigation infrastructure in Owens Lake with destructive flooding. Now, Mayor Garcetti's emergency declaration will trigger city rules that enable the LADWP to act quickly in response to the threat and begin the process of requesting assistance from the state and federal governments. Now, quoting, "I am declaring a local state of emergency today because we have a responsibility to protect Angelenos and the people of the Owens Valley. We must act quickly to address this threat." This is from Mayor Garcetti. He continued, "I have also requested that Governor Brown help us coordinate our response with state agencies. This emergency reminds us that climate change is not a problem for the distant future. It is already causing harm, and we know there is more to come. That is why it's critical for us to continue investing in infrastructure that makes our city more sustainable and resilient and continue pushing to reduce our carbon emissions," end quote. And again, that was LA Mayor Eric Garcetti. Now, today's emergency proclamation, the press release notes, will help LADWP respond to the immediate threat of flooding in the Owens Valley by triggering special city rules that enable the utility to contract for the goods and services it needs more quickly. Since it is intended to last longer than 7 days, the declaration requires approval by the Los Angeles City Council. Now, the press release says LADWP is already taking steps to prepare for this year's snowmelt, and Mayor Garcetti's declaration will enable the utility to act more quickly. For example, the agency is spreading water along the length of the LA Aqueduct system so that the excess water can be used to replenish underground aquifers and maximizing flows throughout the system using more aqueduct water to supply Los Angeles, and is also shoring up existing flood control infrastructure and emptying reservoirs along the aqueduct to prepare for the snowmelt and protect its hydroelectric power plants and critical endangered species habitat from flooding. Now, in Owens Lake, where the city has spent more than $1 billion on dust mitigation over the past 2 decades, press release notes that LADWP is building new infrastructure to guide the flow of excess runoff away from its dust control operations and prevent them from destruction. Now, said LADWP General Manager David H. Wright, quote, "The public safety is among our core values as an organization. LADWP has made a commitment to the residents of the Owens Valley to control dust emissions that can be harmful to breathe, and have spent over $1 billion on infrastructure to mitigate this dust. As stormwaters threaten to destroy much of this investment, we must honor our commitment to the residents of the Owens Valley to reduce this form of air pollution, just like we honor our commitments to ratepayers in the LA Basin." This declaration by Mayor Garcetti today allows us to bypass lengthy supply procurement regulations to ensure that we can immediately continue to particulate matter from being blown off the dry Lake Playa during periods of high winds, end quote. That full press release is posted on our website, sierrawave.net. And Inyo County issued a press release noting that, well, the county has experienced record high snowpack in the Sierra this winter. Creeks and streams are likely to flow at full capacity, especially as warmer weather produces more snowmelt. Flooding can occur due to clogged storm drains, fallen trees, or other debris causing obstruction. Now, the press release notes in order to prepare for high runoff this year. Inyo County asking that the public take extra efforts to ensure their property is free of any debris that may cause an obstruction in water flow and maintain debris-free waterways, ditches, and drains. Now, some of the runoff preparation tips include clear ditches of all plants, rocks, and debris, clear overhanging vegetation from your waterways to ensure maximum flow, open pond outflow channels, and remove decorative rocks, clean all water screens, gutters, and drains, and consider draining ponds or lowering levels at least. Now, if you would like to report some flooding, you can contact the Inyo County Sheriff's Office at 760-873-0383 and be prepared to tell the sheriff's dispatcher the exact location of the flooding and if the water threatens water structures, animals, land, or roadways. Now, if water does threaten human life, you can always call 911, obviously. And always remember, if you see water crossing a roadway, turn around, don't drown. For more information on flooding risks and preparedness, you can see the website ready.gov when you want to get to floods. Well, Deb Murphy filed this story for Sierra Wave Media. Bishop residents had asked the city for a value statement during the city council's February meetings. One of the proponents, Stephen Medvedev, went one step further, drafting a strong statement for acceptance and respect that was presented for discussion and action at last Monday's Bishop City Council meeting. Now, following comments by more than 20 locals, Bishop City Council Chairman Joe Pexi came up with a compromise motion, shorten Medvedev's two-page piece and bring it back as a proclamation rather than a resolution. Council members Laura Smith and Pat Gardner maintain the city and its council was already covered by the concept of all men are created equal, as found in the Declaration of Independence. Council members Karen Schwartz had a different approach, as did another council member. Schwartz said you need to say things over and over. It's proven it rubs off and comes back to you. We should keep saying it. We should shout it out. Who cares if it's already been said? And Councilmember Jim Ellis backed her up with a personal story about how simple communication can break down stereotypes and fear. Also, two gay couples spoke of experiencing harassment and derogatory remarks escalating over the past couple of years. A Hispanic preschool teacher told the Bishop City Council her community is living in fear. We want to contribute, she said. We want acceptance. Now, the rest of the long line of speakers were Anglo, moved by what they saw as the recent rise of intolerance, a division between us and them. Now, the condensed value statement will come back to the Bishop City Council at its April 10th meeting. In other Bishop City Council action last week, the council had its first discussion of short-term rentals, commonly referred to as Airbnbs. Now, Associate Planner Elaine Kabbalah said the practice wasn't addressed in the city's municipal code and consequently not specifically regulated. Now, approaches included either allowing or banning the practice or allowing short-term rentals with conditional use permits with minimal regulations and the requirements the owners pay transient occupancy taxes. Now, Karen and Ron McCoy spoke in favor of Airbnb, explaining the availability of home shares attracted tourists who wanted a more local experience. Also, Deb Murphy reported that the 5th of 12 community outreach sessions in Inyo County Planning Department's pursuit of consensus on commercial cannabis that was held for District 1 residents last Thursday night at the Northern Inyo Healthcare District Boardroom. Now, with a smaller showing than the debut of the process in Big Pine last week, the 8 residents, 3 of whom were not from District 1, basically gave a thumbs up to a range of marijuana businesses. As to the smaller numbers compared to Big Pine, District 1 Supervisor Dan Tothero hoped that this reflected a confidence in the process by his constituents. Now, the next meeting for District 3 residents that was set for tonight at Jill Kinmont Booth School, Wednesday at Statham Hall in Lone Pine, Thursday at Laws Museum, and a week from tonight, March 27th, at Bishop Golf Course. Both of Deb Murphy's story are posted on our website, sierrawave.net. And a reminder that the Bishop City Council will be hosting the second annual town hall meeting tomorrow, Tuesday, starting at 5:30 p.m. That'll be at the Tri-County Fairgrounds Tallman Pavilion. The second annual town hall meeting is intended to follow up on last year's inaugural town hall meeting, which focused on expanding the dialogue between local business community and City Hall regarding the challenges of operating a small business in the Bishop area. We know a lot of folks will be out there tomorrow at the fairgrounds. We'll be back with more news.